I want to share something with you today that as I was doing training today, something new came up, just an idea, a thought, and it was something I really hadn't shared with other people before, and I want to share it with you because I think as a leader, a business owner, entrepreneur, supervisor, manager, individual who may be leading teams, leading people as their followers, I think this might be advantageous for you today. And I want to share this with you because the thought process basically is what can I do to help my teams be better in productivity, to be consistent in producing, and how can I, as a leader, help grow them to become more? And one of the things I want to share with you about today is this ideal of really creating opportunities for our team. In fact, I have some markers I'll be drawing here in a minute. But creating opportunities and really beginning with the end in mind. And the idea of what do I want my organization to look like, but really what I want my teams, the end result of my teams, what I want them to look like. Because a lot of times as we as leaders have people that we're leading and they're following us, they're there to do a job, they're there to do something for the organization in the big picture, the grand scheme of things. And many times the thought process is that they're there to help me or help the organization. And one of the things that I have seen as organizations continue to try to hone in on, hey, how can we help our teams become better, is this idea of, hey, let's try to learn to help them obtain the things that they're trying to obtain in their lives, their dreams, their desires. Let's let them know that we're for them to help them grow and to become better. I use an analogy in my training about my grandfather. He was a farmer. He loved to farm. I remember as a small kid, he loved to plant corn, field corn, acres and acres of field corn. That was his favorite thing to plant. And I can remember as a child with my grandfather, and of course help him in the ideal of disking, using the tractor and watch him disc the ground, of course plant the seed and be out there and waiting for that corn to grow and to produce the corn that he had planted. But I thought many times when it comes to business, in our lives, how do we as leaders plant seeds into our teams and help them grow? Well, I want to share something with you today because what I learned is that even in the ideal of preparing for a great harvest, of sowing and reaping, one of the things that we have to do is prepare the soil. We prepare the soil. For us as leaders, trying to help our teams grow, trying to help them grow, the first thing we really have to do is really make sure that we're prepared the soil properly. And what does that mean, Scott? Well, the one thing that I know is that if you've got individuals that you're leading, that they're helping you, they're employees of yours, and they're trying to help you, my first question I always ask managers, supervisors, business owners is, do you know the why? The why. Do you know the why your employee, your volunteer, if you're a nonprofit, the person that is there, do you know their why for being there? I mean, yes, you think about that. Look, Scott, they're there to get a paycheck. Of course I know the why. No, I really want you to know the why that they're trying to obtain, their dreams, their desires. What are the things that they're trying to obtain in life? You see, many times as leaders, we don't ask this question. Why are you here? I mean, really, why did you pick this organization? And here's the other thing, is the how. And that's the other question that as leaders we have to ask. How can I help you obtain your why? And you say, well, Scott, that's not really what we're in the business to do. Let me say this. Your followers, your employees, those that you're leading, okay, they have dreams, they have desires, they have a big why in their life. And if we can ever tap into their why of what they want, of their dreams and their desires, what we need to do is figure out, hey, how can we as leaders figure out the how to get that for them as they're with us? And in fact, use the organization that you're in, that you're leading, as a vehicle to get them to their why. You say, well, how does that help the organization? If I can help people understand what their why is, and I can help get them to their why, they're more inspired to go with me, to travel with me in the ideal of following me as a leader to get to where we want to be. You see, one thing I have definitely learned in the process of trying to lead people is that we have to put others first. This keyword, others, is so important in our life. Thinking about other people, thinking about our teams, thinking about those those that we're leading, those that are following us. Thinking about their why, thinking about, hey, their dreams, their desires, how do I get them to their why will help the organization. Now, let me explain this. I use the analogy here of my grandfather in the idea of planting and basically tilling up the soil, preparing the hearts. That's what this does. When you sit down, whether it be on your one-on-ones with your individuals, and you ask them this question, why? What is your why? And they tell you, well, Scott, I'm here because really by the end of the year, I really want to get a down payment for my house. I want to get a house. That's what I want to get. I want to make sure that I can get in a house one day and be able to support my family and be able to have my kids there and enjoy. I need a down payment. That's what I need to do. And so when we as leaders figure out, okay, how can I help you get that? See, now we go to the how. Can I help you get to that? And if I could sit down with them and say, hey, in the process of sales, let's just say, in the process of sales, what can I do to help map out a plan to get you to where you want to be? Because what I need to do is reverse engineer where they want to be. That's a dream, that's a desire, that's a why. And every time I have a one-on-one with them, what I can do is say, hey, how's your why going? How are you doing in obtaining what you're wanting to get? Now I'm talking about inspiring them, not just motivating them. I can inspire them to do more. When you say, well, Scott, our business is not in sales. That's okay. It's all right. If you're leading people and you're in an office area and you're a manager and a supervisor and you say, well, Scott, we don't really sell anything. How do I help them? What you can do then is help them in the ideal of, hey, what is your why? Find out what their why. Well, again, let's go back to the down payment. We just want to get a down payment. How can we help you get that? What are some things that we need to do? Well, maybe a job promotion. Well, let's look at that. What is it going to take? It's going to take some personal growth. Personal growth. It's going to take some leadership growth. It's going to take some training. It's going to take some things that you're going to have to do in order to help promote yourself, in order to do some things to get to your how. Now, is it an overnight thing? No, but nothing is. Even planting seeds to watch them grow to become corn or to watch them to grow to become trees doesn't happen overnight. In fact, I remember standing out after my grandfather had already planted seeds into the ground, and I'm standing there, and my grandfather comes out, and he says, son, what are you doing? I said, Papa, I'm waiting for the seeds to grow. He just laughed. He said, son, you need to get back in the house. It's going to be days before that happens. It's the same way when we're growing people. It doesn't happen overnight, and they have to also understand that getting from my why to my how is not going to be overnight success either. But we have to be intentional, and we have to have a plan, and then we have to be consistent about working that plan. That's the whole purpose of this. Now here's the thing, as I kind of move on. Once I figure out the why and the how, that's the tilling the soil or preparing the soil. What does that mean? It means I've kind of got down to where we are. Where are we in the why and the how? Now what we can do is plant the seed. You say, well, Scott, what seed are we trying to plant? Plant the seed. Well, the seed basically is this idea of wondering, how can we get to the why and the how? That planting the seed basically is that time, basically when you plant a seed in soil. And many of you, and I said this even today, talking about training, many times when I was in elementary school, I remember having a little pot, I guess it was a plant pot. We put topsoil on it, or potting soil, I guess you would say, and then plant a seed and cover it up and water, sit it on the counter underneath a fluorescent light or close to the window where the sunlight could get, and wait for that seed to pop out. It would come in every day, and every morning, wait for that seed to pop out. Well, the interesting thing about that seed is that seed takes time. That seed is under pressure. That seed is in a dark place. It feels the stress. And that seed has to cease becoming a seed. It begins to break away. It begins to pull away from the hard shell that's around the seed so that what? It can germinate. It can grow a root. The interesting thing about work in our life, there's two sides to that coin of work. One side of the coin basically is the work that we see. When we're talking about the coin, there's two sides of a coin. Two sides to work. The first side is the work that we see. When we do something, boom, there it is. There's the fruit of our labor. The other side of the work is the work that we don't see. It's the side that many times that when we do something, we don't see things immediately happen. In fact, that's the work that actually is done inside of us. And sometimes that's when we get frustrated, when we're doing work and we don't see anything. We get frustrated with what's not happening that we think we should be seeing, when in actuality the work is inside of us working to make us better. Our character, our integrity, our self-discipline, our consistency, all of those things inside of us, our perseverance. And when we begin to realize that there's two sides of the coin to work, the work that I see from the fruit after my work and the work that's inside of me that I don't see, then I can realize, hey, that's where my growth is. And when we're talking about planting the seeds, what we're really talking about in the idea of planting the seed is basically, hey, how do I plant the seed of growth? That's it. How do I plant the seed to grow? Because when I plant the seed, I've got to realize for me to grow, sometimes I need to cease being that thing that I thought I was. And sometimes ceasing to be something other than really my potential is what I have to be. It's the idea of being what I desire to be. What I desire to be. And when we as leaders are able to plant that seed of potential, plant that seed to let them see, this is what I see inside of you. This is where I need you to be. This is the expectations I have of you. This is where I know you can be. And when we're able to plant that seed inside of them, then we have to nurture it. We have to water it. We have to grow it. We have to help it along. We train it. But here's the interesting thing. For people, those that we're leading, is that many times there's these little weeds that pop up. And I can remember my grandfather being out in the garden many times, and he'd be pulling weeds out of the garden. He'd be hoeing the weeds out of the garden. And the problem is that many times we, and those that we're leading, the followers, they have weeds in their mind. What do you mean by that, Scott? I mean, their attitude, negativity, things that pop up, that distract them, that can pull them away, that can definitely affect them being what really we desire them to be and what they desire to be. And so we're always, as leaders, having to take that responsibility to help add encouragement, but help add things to their life, put resources in their life to help them grow. That's why I'm so appreciative of many of the companies that I'm able to go into and do trainings with, because what it allows their teams to be able to do is to grow and to realize, hey, there's some weeds in my life I need to pull out. There's an attitude I need to pull out. There's something in my life, a distraction in my life that is affecting me of being what I desire to be. And so what I have to do is learn to, as a leader, is not only plant the seed and grow the seed, but now I've got to pull the weeds and help them pull the weeds and to see the weeds in their life so that doesn't choke out the seed of potential in their life. And once I'm able to do that, it helps continue to let them grow and let them nurture. What happens is, you and I both know, that seed becomes a little plant. It pops through the soil, and there it has the sunlight. It's able to grow. It's able to stretch, okay? Able to become better. But that doesn't stop us as leaders to continue watching over those that we're leading and growing them to become better. Because here's what I know. Is that a lot of times there's things that come in to the environment You see, that seed has to be in the right environment. That plant has to be in the right environment. But sometimes there's things that are introduced, diseases that are introduced, beetles and all kinds of bugs that can come in and can really destroy what you're wanting to accomplish and destroy really the potential that you see in your team. My grandfather, not only was he a farmer, he also had a peach orchard many, many years ago. And I know with those particular trees of peaches, beautiful, sweet, great, wonderful, big peaches. My mouth is watering just thinking about them right now. But he would have to inspect the leaves of those trees many times, inspect the trunk of the leaves. Inspect the trunk of the tree. Because there would be diseases, there would be beetles, there would be all types of things that could be introduced. And the problem is that many times, if he didn't see that and catch that in time, it could destroy the tree. And the sad thing is not only could it destroy the tree, but it could destroy the tree next to it, the tree behind it, the tree in front of it, and then eventually destroy everything. What am I saying? Well, even though we're growing a team, and maybe you have some team members that, man, they're doing phenomenal, they're flourishing, they're doing well. One of the things we have to always know as leaders is that we're always spending time with each of our team members. You see, I love the adage, John Maxwell said this, he said, people don't know how much you care until they know how, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I'll get it right. And the fact of the matter is that we spend time with people, T-I-M-E. It's how we really help to grow people. We spend time with them. And one of the things that we have to do is spend time with individuals to see, hey, is there something going on in their life? Many times we can see people come in and they seem a little different. They seem a little low. They seem saddened. There's things in their lives. And some of that is outside forces. We understand that. Home life can happen. Debt can happen, health issues, not only their own, but also family members. And those are not diseases, excuse me, I don't mean that in a negative, but they can affect in a negative way the production of our teams and also really the person themselves. Addictions can be an effect as well. And so what we have to do is immediately when we identify those things is try to help them get through those things. That is our responsibility as a leader too. To help grow them, to help them nurture, to help also in times like that, when there's something that has come against them, to help heal them. Now, as a leader, I understand too that people can either receive that graciously, humbly, and want that help, or they can reject it and refuse it. And that way, as a leader, you have to know, hey, which way do we need to go? I know for my grandfather, many times, it's when the process of trying to help that tree overcome something and it was just too far gone. Many times he would have to cut it down and he would have to burn it so that it wouldn't affect the other team members. And you and I both know as leaders, we've had toxic environments sometimes brought in from outside sources or brought in from a source that's already in our organization. But there was a negativity, there was an attitude that continued to grow, and that could be resentment, it could be bitterness, it could be unforgiveness, it could be holding grudges, it could be all sorts of things that affect our organization. And if we don't address it and we don't try to heal it and we don't try to nurture it, we don't try to get rid of it somehow as far as help the person grow through it, it can create toxic environments for our whole organization. Those are very serious matters that we do have to deal with. But I know once we do deal with it, then we can move on. The person can move on. Our organization can move on. And we can go back to growing our team. I love the scripture, Jeremiah 17, I believe it's in verse 7 and 8. It talks about a tree planted by the water. By the rivers of water, its roots will actually absorb the nutrients, and that it will grow, and that the drought won't harm it, and that it will bear fruit continually. That's what we all want for our teams. We want our teams to always be bearing fruit continually. We want them to become better as individuals. We want them to grow, to influence others around, and of course, eventually our organizations grow because of that. Today, I hope this helped you to kind of see an ideal of, hey, how can I, first off, find out my team's why? How can I help them get to their why? inspire them, nurture them after I've planted the seed, grow them, help them to cease being what they were and be something much more. And then also help them to weed out those things in their mind that may be causing them not to grow, to be a lid to their full capacity, to be a lid to their full potential. And if there are some things that we identify in their life that could be holding them back and could be honestly a disease to them becoming better, then hey, how do we identify that and how do we pull that out and help them grow so that organization can grow? Hey, I hope this helped you today. If I can do anything for you, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. There's a link below to contact me anyway and anytime. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.